Hi, this is Gila. So, today I would like to try a thought experiment. Now, however unlikely some of this may sound or even absurd, it is meant to try to give an alternative perspective, especially to any thinking Muslims who might just happen to come across this video. So, we are going to Somalia, a country around the eastern tip of Africa with the equator just going through it to the very south. Now, in actual fact, Somalia has been Muslim for the last 1400 years or so, and obviously its inhabitants are dark-skinned because of where it is. However, in my thought experiment, some 1,000 years ago, there was a lady called Camila, and that apparently means either most perfect or web camera in Somali, who went into a cave and had visions of the angel Remiel, who told her, recite. Over the next 20 or so years, she received many commandments as to how to live life and was the last prophetess. Now, at first, she didn't have much success attracting followers, but then she became a fighter, and she led many brave female warriors who not only took over Somalia, but much else of Africa. They subjugated the peoples they ruled, forcing them either to submit to their new religion, Gudbinta, which means submission in Somali, or to live as oppressed third-class citizens with far fewer rights than Gudbintis, forced to pay a special tax for their protection, or if they refused either course, they were murdered. In the book of Gudbinta, which was finally written down at least 100 years or so after Camila's death, maybe longer, are contained what later devotees collected of her holy recitations, which are considered to be the direct will of the Creator for how everyone needs to live. For instance, Muslims who never accepted her as any kind of prophet are described as treacherous people in Kitab 5, that's chapter in Somali, Kitab 5 verse 13, who are cursed by the Creator, whom Gudbintis call Iba. Also, Muslims are described as cursed in Kitab 4 verse 46 and in other verses as well. Muslims are liars according to Kitab 5 verse 42. Gudbintis are commanded not to take Muslims as their friends in Kitab 5 verse 51, or anyone else who follows a different religious path. Accordingly, Islamophobia has been part of the Gudbinti world since the time of Camila. Anyone who leaves the Gudbinta religion deserves to be killed. So does anyone who even criticizes Camila, the holy prophetess of this belief system. In early Gudbinti writings, white or lighter-skinned people are described as humans who are closer to dumb animals than to rational beings. One early Gudbinti thinker wrote that the ape is more capable of being trained than the white or olive-skinned person. As for the place of men in this female-dominated ideology, they are a tilth, according to Kitab 2 verse 223, and men are required to have sex with their wife whenever she wants it. Men have only half the worth of women in courts of law. They are described as less intelligent, and women can have up to 4 husbands and as many male concubines and also non-Gudbinti sex slaves as they wish. Daughters inherit twice as much as do their sons. So imagine in today's Britain, there are many Gudbinti followers who have been allowed to immigrate here. In areas where many Muslims live, their sons are being abused by Gudbinti women, and Muslims are denigrated as subhuman thanks to various texts in the Gudbinti writings, as of course are all people who have lighter skins than hardcore Gudbintis from Somalia and other parts of Central Africa. In Arabia, when Gudbintis invaded and took it over, they knocked down the Kaaba at Mecca, put their own temple there, and Muslims are forbidden to pray at their very holiest site because Thanks to the Islamophobia contained in the book of Gudbinta, they are considered apes and pigs, and they would defile this third holiest Gudbinti shrine from where Camilla is believed to have ascended to heaven. Okay, I could go on, but I think you get the idea. Now, if you're a Muslim, then do think very carefully about how non-Muslims feel when they read the anti-infidel parts of the Quran and Hadith. Think very carefully how the supremacist, hateful and bigoted parts of your ideology sound to the vast majority of British people who are used to everyone being free to live their lives how they wish under British law, to express their opinions openly and freely, with principles of equal justice for all people and hard-won equality of men and women. And think how you would feel if your own daughters were raped and abused, some as young as 11, and pimped out by gangs of white men who regarded them as Muslim trash. The problem here does not stem from irrational racism, supposed Islamophobia, although of course sadly there can be some racists of any ethnicity in our society. No society is perfect. The problem truly stems from the totally understandable offense and outrage caused by the teachings of your Prophet Muhammad with regard to the treatment of non-Muslims and the actions and atrocities committed accordingly by some Muslims, inflamed by the more violent, supremacist and bigoted parts of Islamic political ideology. Not even being able to discuss this reality openly and reasonably without being falsely labelled as some kind of extremist, or even to risk being arrested for supposed hate crimes, only makes the deep concern and outrage among millions of ordinary and largely good British people all the more likely to explode in the near future. We don't want that. Most of us simply want to live in peace and to have our deeply cherished human rights, freedoms, and long established British history and culture respected too. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day. Keep up prayers and thoughts for Tommy Robinson. I think he should be coming out in a month or so now. And don't be a dimmy. Goodbye.